What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the NVM channel. As promised, we are covering ethanol blend tuning to our G42. So if you don't know about ethanol, ethanol is a fuel or alcohol-based fuel additive that reduces engine bay and combustion temperatures. It does this because this is derived from the fermentation process of corn, barley, etc., whereas petrol is actually mined from oil. Being an additive, it is quite porous and it can be detrimental to early engine models and fuel lines and rubbers, etc. But on the latest G series vehicles, the actual fuel system can support great amounts of ethanol without any detrimental concerns. Now, the reason why we are adding it today is because the ethanol fuel can actually reduce the combustion temperatures. It can burn at a slower rate, a cooler rate, and we can add more ignition to it. So in the UK, you might be familiar, at the pumps there is a 10% additive added to up to 95 RON, and when you take 98 or 99 RON, it's a 5% additive. Now, ethanol itself burns quicker in some senses, so you do reduce fuel economy, but the guys in America have it on tap and are so lucky because it is actually a cheaper way of filling your car than traditional fuels. We want to run a 30 to 50% blend of fuel, which means mixing this E98 ethanol based additive to the 99 RON fuel to get our desired amount. We did cover in a previous episode the installation of an ethanol content sensor added to the fuel system, so it updates the DME with the mixture, the temperature, and overall boost and ignition timing can be adjusted for that. Traditionally, pre-ethanol content analyzation, you would have to get your ethanol amount, your fuel amount, and measure that. And we'll go through that today to see how accurate we can get a blend of fuel added before we start our tuning. So we're gonna need our trusty jerry can because we're gonna pop to the petrol station and fill up 10 litres in this 20-litre tub. So I have a funny feeling the UK are going to start running a lot more ethanol mixes at the petrol station. Years ago they tried it and it wasn't successful because the actual fuel lines and the systems on cars couldn't cope. So it's coming basically. I think before the electrics take over, I think we'll see more ethanol blends at the fuel station. Even on a 99 RON stage 2 plus calibration, you can actually see some benefits by adding some ethanol to your E5 blend. Majority of the petrol stations, as we tested in the last video, have up to a blend of like 8%. Again, with the ethanol content analyzation, it's key to kind of getting a mixture that's going to work for the calibration itself. But yeah, about 10 to 15% does reduce overall knock that you might get from your typical 99 RON fuel in the UK. It's funny because the ethanol is actually, it's alcohol, it's fermentation of certain byproducts of the cropping of corn and barley, etc., that makes a very pungent alcohol in itself. But to kind of sell it to the market, they have to add things in there that make it not drinkable. So I mean, I'm teetotal, so it doesn't matter to me, but you guys out there, don't start drinking ethanol thinking you're going to get a bit tipsy. Just don't do it. I mean, we're in a NVM stage 10 diesel powered vehicle, and it's crazy because I think the diesels are coming to the end of life because they are such a dirty fuel. They're very heavy. Cost a lot to import, cost a lot to manufacture, and the prices are skyrocketing. So if the UK government are listening, please push for more ethanol at the fuel pumps. It's greener, it burns better, makes more power hopefully, and you'll find out a bit later on. Now, from my estimates, E98 fuel and 10 litres of E98 fuel and 10 litres of 99 RON fuel should give just south of E50. But as I said, we're going to do some chemistry lab experiments today and utilize the integration already on there. So let's get this in. These are handy, aren't it? A nice electric fuel pump. We used to use a manual pump last time. But their barrels are we only get them in 20 litres now. So I should be wearing my lab coat, right? Because we're going to do a bit of chemistry. We are using a fuel-lit ethanol content analyzer. This is a visual representation of how much ethanol we have just blended with 99 RON and ethanol E98. We fill it up with water to that line there, and then we'll get the pipette, suck a bit of fuel out, put it in there, and then it will displace and leave us a value as to how much ethanol content is in this. So as you can see there, the chemical reaction has happened thanks to that H2O. The splitting of the ethanol and the petroleum shows that we have a 50-50 dead-on mix in this can here. There is a bit of fuel left in the M240i, but we'll do some baseline runs and try and drop that as low as possible so we can get as close to E50 to start off with. So with the car now strapped down to the dyno, there's a bit of 99 RON fuel in there. I'm guessing about 7 to 8 litres. So we'll do some base runs on a stage 2 calibration that's nice and consistent with 0 timing pull. Let's see what that makes first before we put the ethanol in. Well, that's really good to see. Just under 470 brake horsepower and 720 newton meters of torque on 99 RON fuel. Now we'll stick the E50 fuel straight in. There is a calibration that I've got to do initially just for the startup. So it factors into the ethanol content before we add any sort of blending for full power. Cue all the teapot jokes, yeah? Is this where you put the thing that says few moments later?
A few moments later.
Well, that's really good to see. Just kind of it's showing like E41 on the data logs and on the dash at the moment. We're at 502 brake horsepower and 790 newton meters of torque, 0 timing pull. I've not even added any more boost pressure, just playing with the ignition timing at the minute. So let's see how much more it takes. Now, as these cars start to get hot, it's very difficult to control the temperature. The actual charge cooler itself is like the previous gen, although it's more kind of covered, and that's what causes the intake temperatures to rise. Heat soak is very apparent. Ethanol actually within the combustion burns a lot cooler, so the surrounding cylinder head and block is actually slightly cooler than it would be on a petrol fuel. But I think E40 to E50 is where we're going to maximize the power on the stock turbocharger without throwing it out of the efficiency window. But there's a whole lot of upgrades yet to do, but I really want to kind of get a nice ethanol blend map so we know exactly what that turbocharger can actually take. Now we are starting to cook. 507 brake horsepower, but 815 newton meters of torque. Absolute savage. I mean, the turbocharger is starting to get hot in here, so I don't know how much more it's got, but let's see. Now, the issue with tuning with ethanol is you never really get a true lambda, so you kind of have to estimate to a degree and use the factors for the fueling within the ECU. The MG1 ECU is very advanced, so you can even set a base on the ECU, so if your fuel was always kind of 10% E10 or always E15, you could actually set that within the ECU and it will adjust the fuel trims accordingly. Getting this car to kind of respond is key, and it's very difficult when intake temperatures, are hitting almost 60 degrees on the dyno. So in real world terms, it will never hit that unless you're going back to back, but we like to load it up as much as possible so that we can end up having a temperature that's lower on the road and also a knock threshold that is accurate to the data. So yeah, a few more calibrations in, but let's see what it does. And there we have it, guys. Final results for this E50 blend on this B58 Gen 2. 515 brake horsepower at the peak and 825 Newton meters of torque. Absolute savage. You can see the huge delta gain in comparison to our 99 RON calibration. This is all the power you need to hopefully get this car under 10 seconds. Come on, mate. We've got to go get some tacos. Actually, I don't feel like tacos today. What do you feel like?
Something from Germany.
German doner kebab? Let's go Germany. So we've got our green card ready as we take this epic road trip to the German autobahns to do some testing. Now the good thing about this ethanol analyzer is it's on the fly, so if I ever believe that the ethanol's dropping or anything, I can check it on the fly, like pull down on the cruise control. It's leveled at about an E40 mix, but like I said, we did have some fuel in there before. But yeah, let's go check in Germany as to what this does. 0 to 60 and a quarter mile in. So mate, it's an already heavy car, so I'm gonna have to kick you out on the German side road, and I'm gonna go get some data. Did you enjoy that kebab, mate? A nice German kebab to end the day, and a 0 to 60 in 2.9 seconds from an M-Light. This is crazy. And a quarter mile in 10.9 seconds. A 10-second car with a downpipe, a panel filter, and ethanol fuel is absolutely insane. So as predicted, when pushing these turbochargers, the biggest enemy is their intake temperatures, and that stock intake manifold is absolute abysmal. So in the next episode, we have got a big treat for this G42, courtesy of Wagner Tuning. So I hope everyone enjoyed today's episode on the M240i. If you like the video, make sure you smash that thumbs up button. And if you haven't subscribed, hit that subscribe button now with the bell notification icon on so you don't miss a single episode. And I'll catch you in the next one.
Don't matter if you cars for the road or tracks. Mexico on the lanes, or Dunnington doing up laps. Car man, I got maps, doing up maps. Maximum power, cars get gapped. They got tuners, we got tuners, but they're tuners a load of. Man got the map, what kind of map? Best boat map, fastest lap. Zoom in past, don't watch how big mad map. 3 maps, take a passenger seat, watch a man collapse. Foot to the floor, rev to the max. See him come through like axe. All you see is flames, all you hear is bullets and bats. He's doing it well, he's doing it right, and they can't do it like man. NV Motorsport, it's in the game. Gang.